Hey guys, welcome back to Ultimate S&S. I hope everyone has been having a great day. So one of the things I want to talk about today is prepping. But we're not just going to be talking about prepping canned goods and stuff. That's one of the things I know we've done in the past. Show you the big pile of canned goods we got for the week, or the bags of beans and dry goods and stuff that we get, and how we store those. And those are all great things, and continue to do that. But something I think you need to be aware of as well is when the economy really takes a hit, and what we're looking at with wars and all these rumors of wars and all this other stuff that's happening in the country. We're seeing now where the prices are going through the roof and stuff. Expect people to start doing willing and dealing type trades, between their neighbors and stuff. So something that I think people need to realize is when this country originally started off, Walmart didn't exist. Publix didn't exist, and they had a lot of, hardware stores. They had some general stores as well. But what most people were going in to get in those places was not the necessity items that we're buying today, like a loaf of bread or, a can of beans. Most people were growing that themselves. What the biggest part of the trade was, and understand this, the trade we're fixing to talk about, it was the number one cause of piracy. For those of you who love pirates like I do, man, the pirate stories, it wasn't always just about treasure. Understand, the biggest part of piracy was about spices. Okay, we're talking about cooking spices, we're talking about medical types of herbs and things like that as well. And looking at sugars, we're looking at cinnamon and all the basic stuff in the store that we kind of take for granted today. Well, guess what? That's going to make a comeback, because you might have 1,000 pounds of dried beans ready to cook up. But the interesting thing about it is, if you don't have anything to put in there to add some flavoring to it, you're going to get tired of beans very fast, like really quick. And the same goes for just about anything that's out there, guys. You want to start looking at trading items. Too many times I've seen people comment about trade is, they're just going to take some unused ammo or something, or they go around and they buy the cheapest 22 ammo they can find, and they're going to trade that to people that they don't even know. So that would, in my opinion, this is what that is. If someone breaks into your house and they have a knife, are you going to look at them and say, that's not good enough, and hand him your firearm so he can rob you properly? No. Why would you trade ammunition to somebody you don't know and risk them having a scout follow you back to your bug out location just to be robbed by the same bullets you sold them? That's the way I look at it. You got to kind of use your mind, use a little common sense on that. But when it comes to being prepared and being a prepper, you want to think outside the box, because understand this. Everyone has the mentality of, well, let's get food now. Let's get food now. Let's go out and we'll buy food. We're going to buy water. We're going to stock this stuff up, and we're going to be good to go, guys. And they go out and they're buying all this stuff up. But what they're not doing is they're not buying seasonings. They're not buying spices and stuff. And understand, you can eat a bowl of beans and be hungry at about 45 minutes later. But when you add spices to that, it's going to make you feel full a lot longer, guys. And that's why spices gained so much popularity, not just for the flavoring, but also for the effects and the health effects that they have on your body. Something people don't realize, when you come up and you're looking at these little peppers, just a little pepper that you can grow in a garden, doesn't take much. Those can be dried out and then ground down, and then you have pepper. Now, we're not talking black pepper for peppercorns. We're talking about spicy peppers that could be used in chilies and different things like that. But one of the things you really need to focus in on is the oils that are in that plant as well, because that capsaicin that's in there, it's going to do a few things. One, it's going to heat your mouth up. It's going to make your blood pressure drop. People don't realize that. But also, it can be turned into an ointment. And you can take that, and you can take menthol, okay, which comes from like mint plants and stuff, and you can combine that, and you can make your own icy hot muscle relaxers that you can use on your own body, guys. That's something people need to realize, is you don't have to run to the drugstore to get that stuff. Just look at the way our forefathers did it. Look at the way our great-great-grandparents did it. And most of the time, if you do that and you figure out what it was they had as their staple supplies, what they were using as their trade agreement items, that's where it's at, guys. And to get the answer for our future, I think we need to start studying our past. That's something we really need to start doing in this country as preppers, because it's way too often that we come up and we go, well, I've got, whatever, 100 pounds of spaghetti, 200 pounds of spaghetti sauce. I've got, all these beans, different types of beans. I've got, these canned goods over here and all that's great. That's wonderful to have that stuff. But you also need to be thinking about trade, because you don't want to trade your food stores off for stuff. What you want to use is you want to use spices, things that are easily replenishable, things that don't cost too much now compared to food. Now, yes, spices are getting expensive. Sugar, that's another big thing people don't realize. Have you ever heard the term sugar junkie? For those of you who grew up in the 80s and 70s, and maybe even before then, I know we have a very wide demographic of age groups that watch this. I'm sure most of y'all have heard that term before, but sugar is actually very addictive. They say that it is more addictive than heroin. And what people don't realize, have you ever been working really hard and you've not had a chance for a break, you've not had a chance for a lunch, you've not had a chance for anything but work, and then suddenly it's like the bottom drops out, you can't concentrate, you're just, it's hard to focus, you're in a sugar low. Okay, and what may have been a normal sugar level for anybody else who's never had sugar before, if you're operating up here because you're drinking a soda every few hours at work, or you're adding sugar to your coffee, or you're eating candy bars during work, you're eating candy during work, you cut all that out, what happens? You get massive headaches and an inability to focus, guys. And you can actually go into some severe withdrawals from what I've been reading online. So I would recommend keeping sugar back. You can use that as a trade agreement for stuff. But one of the things I think is real important to have that for is maybe you have a diabetic or a hypoglycemic or something, and somebody's sugar drops out. You have an option then. You have options to get that sugar back up. So those are some things you really need to look at. Understand that it's these scenarios we don't think of. These scenarios where, maybe your neighbor or someone 10 miles up the road, you've got an agreement that, hey, if things go bad, we'll try and swap stuff between each other. And maybe they have everything they need, but they don't have what they actually need. And that's one of the things we need to look at. There's more to surviving than just having food and water, guys. If that's what surviving is just to have something to eat every day, it's not really thriving. Okay, and we need to thrive as a community. People can thrive right there in their own homes if they take and they utilize their space right, and if they take and actually take a proper stance on prepping. And that's what this video is about today. But I hope everyone has had a great day. Again, man, if you're not subscribed, subscribe in. I definitely want to see your comments on what are some other items that maybe you're prepping up that other people don't realize, because like I say, it's one of them things where no one person will come up with all the ideas. You have to sit back, you have to look at the things that maybe you take for granted. Maybe it's aspirin. Did you know that you can actually make your own aspirin out of natural herbs? Something to think about. But you want to make sure that you have all of these different types of things in at least in mind. And even if you're not growing it, stockpiling a lot of stuff, you want to make sure that you have those particular types of herbs that are used for medicinal purposes and things. You want to make sure you have the seeds for that, because you're going to need it, your group's going to need it, and if you're growing that stuff out, guess what? Somebody else is going to need it. And then you have a trade item that nobody else has thought about. What happens to your own store shelf medication after a while if it's not kept properly? Even if it is kept properly, the chemical compounds begin to change, and you no longer have what it is that it was being sold as. It's something else. That's something you need to think about. Go with that natural remedy stuff, guys. Have a wonderful day.